Season 3 is upon us and the pressure is on at Crystal Palace. After failure to qualify for the Champions League last season, the mass exodus begins at Selhurst Park. Having agreed a deal at the midpoint of last season, Chris Richards, my reserve centre-back, is the first man to depart the club as he leaves for Aston Villa. Secondly, despite Jean-Philippe Mateta scoring 11 goals, playing back up to the likes of Terry Moffi and Dominic Solanke last season, that role at Crystal Palace just was not good enough for the 28-year-old Frenchman. And so that is why he handed in a transfer request and becomes the second man to depart for a fee of £12 million to West Ham. But of course, the big news comes with regards to my star man, Adam Wharton. After fending off some big bids from European teams at the start of Season 1, I did promise Adam Wharton when he signed a new contract that if an even bigger team came in with a big offer, I would allow him to go if we didn't reach the top level. And with Champions League football a no-go for Crystal Palace this season, he's had enough and he's decided to make the move, more specifically staying in London to Chelsea for £60 million. Finally though, the biggest shock has to be my defensive linchpin in Mark Gay. With him only having 1 year left remaining on his contract, and despite my best efforts with all the big teams in Europe sniffing around for his signature, and with him being 25 years of age and entering his prime years, he is unwilling to commit his long-term future to Crystal Palace Football Club. However, despite several meetings with some of the best managers at the biggest clubs in England and agreeing fees for the services of Mark Gay, much to my surprise, he's decided to reject the lot of them, and he's declared that he wants to move on a Bosman free at the end of his contract so that he can secure an even bigger contract at a different club. I've got to be honest, I expected more from the Crystal Palace stalwart, and it has now left me in a bit of a tricky position, because despite these three centre-backs having a settled combination that I'm kind of reluctant and didn't really want to disrupt heading into the new season, I kind of feel like if Mark Gay's got his eyes elsewhere and his concentration on other things, I don't think I've got any choice but to dive straight back into the transfer market to try and see if I can find a replacement for him. And as ever, as you can see from this long list of players, you guys have provided me with quite a different array of talent to potentially choose from. For me though, there was a clear candidate who stood out amongst the rest. He's a man who's really shone in the Bundesliga for Bayern Leverkusen over the last couple of seasons, and someone who has all of the ability, both technically and physically, to match what Mark Gay provides at the heart of my defence. He's a man 1 year his junior who is starting to develop into a world-class defensive talent and only has a bright future ahead of him. That is right, it is time to welcome our first signing of Season 3, the Ivory Coast international, Kosunu, who joins for £37 million. Judging by his rating, he already comes in and makes an marked improvement of our defence, and as you can see from his stats right across the board, he has absolutely everything to be a success here at Crystal Palace Football Club. Signing number 1 in the books, and I think it's time for more. Now, Adam Wharton was a real tough one to let go, but with him being 21 years of age and with Chelsea coming in with such a big offer for the young English international, it was really hard for both he and I to turn that one down. And whilst the 19-year-old Archie Gray is showing great potential and had some really good spells last season when coming in off the bench, I think it's going to be a big ask for the young man to spearhead our Champions League fight alongside Doucouré in the heart of my midfield. And so that's why, with still £119 million left to spend, it really is time now to spend big on a huge reinforcement that's potentially going to revolutionise the midfield here at Crystal Palace Football Club. Now, one man who's head and shoulders above the rest in terms of his rating is this man, Ezequiel Palacios, and of course would be my number 1 choice, but with him being at Real Madrid in the best years of his career, he's highly unlikely to want to swap that for Crystal Palace Football Club. Joey Veerman is a man who's been heavily recommended to me and offers us a lot of versatility, being able to play in central midfield, central defensive midfield and central attacking midfield. Plus, Kepren Thuram, now impressing enough to get into the French international side, would offer us that athleticism to be a real box-to-box presence in the heart of my midfield. But for me, with this young man now having left Chelsea and moved across to Italy to play for Lazio, and of course now desperate for a move back to the Premier League, and of course being a young man who has ties to Crystal Palace in the past, it made total sense for me to try and reunite Conor Gallagher with the team that he made his name at. And so that is why I've decided to make my second big money signing of the transfer window as we bring in the English international, the 25-year-old Conor Gallagher, who joins Crystal Palace Football Club from Lazio for a fee of £38 million. He's an 83 rated at 25 years of age, entering his prime, and he offers a great deal of versatility. He's got incredible work rate and, as you can see, all-round fantastic stats. Plus, he offers us the type of experience and leadership that hopefully will allow the likes of Archie Gray to learn from. I believe it's another huge improvement to my starting 11. Speaking of my starting 11 though, with the switch to this 5-3-2 formation, meaning that I've only got room for one central attacking midfielder, which is covered off by the likes of Diachi Kamada and of course Sebastian Szymanski, with the returning Matthias Franca and of course Hezron Raksaki from both of the loan spells, I've got to try and see if I can do something to fit these two young talents into my squad. Now, with the departure of Jean-Philippe Mateta at the beginning of the season to West Ham, it has left me with just two strikers to fill those two positions in Dominic Solanke and of course the 26-year-old Nigerian Terry Moffi. Now, my initial thought was to try and go back to my shortlist to see if I could bring in a big big name, potentially world-class signing to compete with the two of them. But obviously with them playing so well together last season, I'm kind of reluctant to break up their partnership. So instead, I've had a bit of a brainwave with both Matthias Franke and Hezron Raksaki offering us a great deal of versatility. And with the pair of them only needing a couple of weeks to be retrained into a centre-forward position, I think we've got two potential backups for the price of one, and we can save this £78 million budget on some other players. Speaking of which, after not really impressing so far since joining Crystal Palace and being unable to displace Daniel Munoz on the right side of my defence, I'm making a bold call that I'm going to stick the now 28-year-old 77-rated Kyle Walker-Peters on the transfer list. If I want to get this team into the Champions League, I've got to be ruthless, and with the kind of reaction that I'm getting from the former Tottenham and Southampton man, it looks like it was the best for all parties. And with Brentford coming in with a £9.5 million offer for the English right-back, the exodus will continue here at Crystal Palace Football Club. But of course though, with that leaving us just with one senior right-back at the club, where else to go but to dive straight back into my shortlist, where surprisingly we are about to spend the biggest amount of money that we have done so far this season. And that is going to be on a 22-year-old Spaniard who's really starting to light up La Liga for Girona after the last couple of seasons, and he's a young man who's really starting to knock on the door of the Spanish international side. That's right, he's another man who's desperate to take his career to the next level, move to the bright lights of London and the big stage of the Premier League, and where else better to do so than at Crystal Palace, as we welcome our third signing of the summer, the 22-year-old Arnau Martinez for £48 million. At just 22 years of age but already 83 rated, finally Daniel Munoz has someone who's going to properly compete with him for the right side of our defence. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to take too long to replace him in the starting 11. However, with about £120 million now spent, and with the squad I think looking in better shape than it ever has before, I think it is finally time to get our season under the way. The sun is shining here, the fans are starting to make their way into Villa Park as we head away from home here at the beginning of Season 3 to face off against a Premier League team that are running riot. All of my new signings will make their debuts here today as my starting 11 looks like this. Henderson in goal, Martinez, Kazunu, Anderson, Pacho and Mitchell at the back. Doucouré partnered by Conor Gallagher for the first time, Kamada, and of course Solanke and Moffey make up my attacking trio. But here we go then, what a game to kickstart our season, and it's a season despite some big departures, one that I am really excited about. But it's Ollie Watkins who's going to get us started here, and it's Jacob Ramsey to try and go past Arnau Martinez, and he does go past Martinez, but he's blocked off by Kazunu, the two of them combining on their debut as McGinn plays it into Mukhtar, I believe that is, back out to Jacob Ramsey on the left hand side, cuts back in, really nicely done here from Aston Villa at the beginning of the game. Henderson with a big save, corner. Well, a bit of a shaky start here as my new signings start to bed in at Crystal Palace Football Club, but they're not going to have a lot of time to do so as Jacob Ramsey rose highest. It's another huge save there from Dean Henderson. Tyrick Mitchell now to fire it across to Arnau Martinez for his first real opportunity to foray past Cucurella. It's a real ding-dong battle between the two of them, but Conor Gallagher is the man that picks up the scraps and drives down into space on this right-hand side. Floats a ball in. It's a good one looking for Terry Moffey. First chance of the game into the goalkeeper's arms though. So Tyrick Mitchell once again into Kamada, who turns, looks for an option of Conor Gallagher, finds the option of Conor Gallagher, shapes up to strike on his right, and that is the perfect way to reintroduce yourself back to the Crystal Palace fans, as 20 minutes in, you've got your first goal on your return. Well, he took it brilliantly, just got it out of his feet, one touch, and bang, right on the edge of the penalty area. The keeper had no chance, buried it into the bottom left-hand corner, struck with vellum. It is 1-0 Crystal Palace. There's Cucurella for Villa as they try and see if they can force their way back into this game with immediate effect, and they're playing some really nice football here just inside my half. McGinn has it now, trying to go down this right-hand side. Nice little pass into Jacob Ramsey. Watkins now into Mukhtar, tries to turn away from Kazunu. That's a lovely ball back into Ollie Watkins, and Aston Villa, with some fabulous football, get themselves back on level terms here within 10 minutes. Well, my defence is undone, and perhaps without the solidity of the usual three with Mark Gay, we're still starting to find our feet. Kazunu slightly caught out of position there. I'm frustrated. It's 1-1. So it's Buendia for Aston Villa. It looks like they've got their tails up, and they found some wonderful space on the right-hand side for Gertruda, the right back, to ghost into, but Pacho with a brilliant challenge, and somehow the referee has given that as a foul. And it means that right on the stroke of half-time, Aston Villa have got a free kick in a really dangerous position. They floated into the penalty spot. It's a good ball in, but it's Kazunu, the new signing, with a big challenge and a big header away. Doucouré gets bundled over. Conor Gallagher, though, is in to try and win the ball back. Loses it in a dangerous position. Jacob Ramsey, though, out to Ollie Watkins, right on the edge of the box, and he will be furious as the referee, making some questionable decisions in the last few minutes of the game, blows for half-time. Jacob Ramsey trying to go one-on-one with Kazunu at the start of this second half, but the big man has got the pace to keep up with him, and he does just about enough to hold off that run. But Jacob Ramsey has it back now He's absolutely tearing down that right-hand side all game. It's thrown across by Cucurella, headed away though by Tyreek Mitchell, and Moffey gets there first. Really good defensive tracking there from the Nigerian, and look, he's got the pace now to burst down this left-hand side. Does he have any options in the box? He's too quick for the rest of the players. Drives into the box here. He's going to take it on himself, forces the goalkeeper into a save, and Gertruda just about gets there ahead of Dominic Solanke. My word, I thought that was going to be a terrific goal there from Terry Moffey. He picks it up though once again right on the edge of the box. It's Conor Gallagher now to feed this one outside to Arnau Martinez, finding his feet here in a Crystal Palace shirt. Floats it across though, looking for the big head of Terry Moffey. It comes down though, I thought Kamada was going to get there first ahead of the goalkeeper, but the Argentine Martinez managed to reach up ahead of him. It's Cucurella being chased down by Conor Gallagher, and that is exactly the sort of pressing and intensity that the Englishman provides to this team. Cut it back to Dominic Solanke, who got his strike all wrong. And with about 15 minutes to go, I'm going to make a raft of substitutions here as I look to try and see if I can inject some sort of energy into this display and try and see if we can claim a winner. As it's Kazunu who has it now, brings it out of defence, finds Daniel Munoz on as a substitute in place of Arnau Martinez, and now look at him go, driving down this right-hand side, looks for a ball in, looking for Raksaki on as a substitute. It falls out to Archie Gray though. His chest just got away from him there, and in the end Aston Villa managed to clear their lines, but that is the sort of pressure and intensity that I want to see. Merlin tries to win it back. It's a real ding-dong battle between him and Gertruda. He floated into the box, this time looking for Dominic Solanke with his head, just drags it wide. Kamara now for Villa to try and burst past Conor Gallagher. That is exactly the sort of thing I want to see. It's been a fabulous performance on his debut here. Zamansky now out to Daniel Munoz again, who's going to try and streak down this right-hand side. He's got the beating of Cucurella for pace, floated into the box, finds the head of Raksaki on as a substitute. He's desperate to get his goal, but Martinez is desperate to keep the scores at 1-1 as the referee blows for full time. Well, we had chances of that, there can be no doubt, especially towards the back end of the game, but frustratingly in the opening game of the season it will finish 1-1. Well, as I said, not the 3 points that I was hoping for, but Conor Gallagher showed why it was the right decision to bring him to the club. A fabulous display, a 9.3 rating. His goal gave us the point that will hopefully help kick-start our fight and our climb up to the Champions League spots this season. In other positive news, I thought Hezron Raksaki looked really dangerous when he came on as a sub, and I thought Kazunu really grew into the game, especially at the back end of the second half. And whilst Arnau Martinez might have a little bit more work to do to try and bet his way into this Crystal Palace way of life, I'm confident with the players continuing to grow, we can achieve our goals this season. Meanwhile though, as we fast forward our way through the first half of the season, it looks like things seem to be heading on the right track. As you can see, we did in fact qualify for Europa League football, and we seem to be moving in the right direction to qualifying for the knockout stages. And as for the Premier League, 5th spot with 13 games played, 3 points behind West Ham United in the fight for Champions League football. And it looks like Conor Gallagher is having a sensational return to life at Crystal Palace colours. He scored 10 goals so far this season, 3 assists, and he is the top goal scorer in the entire team from central midfield. Dominic Solanke is continuing his fine form in front of goal as well though, after last season, 7 goals and 4 assists to his name. And of course Diachi Kamada, who else, leading the assist charts with 7, and of course chipping in with 5 goals in another brilliant campaign for the 29-year-old Japanese. One man though who does seem to be struggling is this man Terry Moffey. Just the 1 goal to his name in 19 appearances in all competitions so far, and if he doesn't start to buck up his ideas, potentially I could be looking for a new striker at the beginning of next season. It looks like squad morale is really pointing in the right direction, and with us seemingly on course to achieve all of our domestic and continental objectives this season, it looks like I've gone from 0 at the back end of season 2 to hero at midway point of season 3. But as we fast forward towards the back end of the season, things start to slip out of our control. A horrendous run of form in the Premier League sees us tumble all the way down to 9th place with 38 games played. And after getting knocked out of the 3rd round of the FA Cup by Luton Town, and unfortunately getting knocked out of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup by Newcastle, all hope rests on the Europa League, because after getting through our group in first, knocking Ajax out of the round of 16, getting past Atalanta in the quarter-finals, and then beating another Italian giant in Inter Milan in the semis, we have been drawn against PSV in the final of the Europa League, with 4 of my players, including Diachi Kamada, Sebastian Szymanski, Conor Gallagher and Dominic Solanke, all getting into double figures in the goal-scoring charts, with of course this man Dominic Solanke absolutely smashing the goal-scoring tally with 25 goals and 9 assists. I am hoping that all 4 of them will have some part to play here as Crystal Palace look to try and win the Europa League for the first time in their history and qualify for the Champions League league for the first time in their history as well. It's a monumental game in front of the travelling fans. Can we bring home some much needed glory into the end of Season 3? As you can see, after a long hard season, some fatigue has ripped through my squad, but I'm asking for one last push from all of them. Henderson starts in goal, Martinez, Kusunu, Anderson, Pacho and Merlin at the back. Decore and Gallagher start in midfield behind Kamada, and of course Dominic Solanke, to the surprise of many, is partnered by Raksaki due to the very poor form and the heavy fatigue of this man, Terem Moffi. So here we go then, it is Crystal Palace against PSV in the Europa League final. A wonderful opportunity for these players to write their names in the history books as Conor Gallagher wins it back and gives it to Dominic Solanke, who plays it into Arnau Martinez down the right hand side, floats it into the box, looks for Kamada at the back post. Really good start from Crystal Palace here in the opening 10 minutes. There's Arnau Martinez once again now heavily involved here in the opening 8 minutes as floats it right the way over to Merlin on the left hand side, takes it on, puts it in the box. Oh my word, right on the edge of the 6-yard box. It was a good ball in, but Dominic Solanke couldn't get there ahead of the goalkeeper. But Decore will pick it up now, plays it into Conor Gallagher inside the opening 15. It's been all Crystal Palace so far. Really good start as Conor Gallagher weaves away from a couple of challenges. Kamada almost tried to go past Danzo, but the big man at the back with a crunching challenge to win the ball back as Decore wins it back in a really good position, plays it back into that man Kamada on the edge of the box. What a save from the goalkeeper. Inches away from giving ourselves a 1-0 lead here, but we have been on absolute fire. Surely it's only a matter of time. It's floated into the box, headed away. Kusunu tries to get his big head on it, and in the end Pacho with a diving header. Once again the keeper just gets there before him. Lovely ball down the left hand side into Oppegaard. Klassen now into Lang. This is PSV's first foray into a half, but Decore is in the right place at the right time as Conor Gallagher plays it forward into Dominic Solanke. Raksaki now with his chance to write his name in the history books and really show that he has everything it takes to be a Crystal Palace legend here as Kamada now picks it up once again and bursts into the box. The Japanese man forces the keeper into another save, and it's going to be yet again another corner that he is going to take. Floated into the box, looks for Dominic Solanke, gets his head on it. Pacho tries as well. It's bundled clear, my word. We are peppering this PSV goal, but we cannot quite seem to knock it down quite yet as Conor Gallagher races all the way across into the far post, looking, I believe it was for Raksaki, headed away again by the PSV defenders. Noah Lang now plays it into the path of Obando, and now PSV to try and see if they can bring it forward and fashion their first real opportunity of the game. Bakayoko into the penalty area, marches past Anderson, who gives away a really silly penalty and gets a yellow card for his troubles. I feel like in every big game we seem to give away a penalty, and yet again today is no different. He can have no complaints. Bakayoko beat him to the ball. It's a real silly, soft one to give away, and now PSV totally against the run of play. 35 minutes on the clock, have the opportunity to give themselves the lead. It's Noah Lang who's going to step up here, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but Dean Henderson saves it, and my word, is it written in the stars that Crystal Palace are going to be Europa League champions this season. Anderson now, out to Martinez on the right-hand side, weaves away from the challenge of the left back and bursts forward here down this right-hand side. Wonderful stuff from the Spaniard, floated into the box, looks for Raksaki. What a save again. I thought that was it, I thought that was the moment, but Raksaki denied once again by the outstretched arms of the goalkeeper, who's having a fabulous game so far as Solanke lifts it over. It's headed away by the defender, only out as far as the penalty area. Raksaki can't get there first. Kusunu will pick it up. Decore on the edge of the box, looks up to strike, and that is horrendous. 45 minutes on the clock, and somehow, some way, this game still remains 0-0. We've had countless opportunities that we haven't taken. PSV have had a penalty that they did not take, and now it is either teams to win here in the second 45. Solanke once again coming deep to get himself involved, tries to dink it over. It's a wonderful ball over into the path of Arnau Martinez, who takes it down really nicely, but doesn't seem to have the big man back in the box now. Solanke though, out to Conor Gallagher, shifts it onto his left, fires a strike, another big save. Oh my word, the goalkeeper is absolutely keeping PSV in this tie. Somehow, some way, we haven't been able to score. Anderson though, out to Kamada. Kamada to swing it back in. This time looks for Dominic Solanke. I think it was off the bar. I can't believe we have not taken the lead. Let's check the replay out. Wonderful ball across. Solanke rose eyes. The goalkeeper was beaten, but the crossbar wasn't. Still remains 0-0. Joey Veerman now into Klassen. Klassen into Noah Lang, the man who I'm sure will be desperate to avenge his penalty miss in the opening 45 minutes as Anderson this time with a really good challenge in the penalty area, but Noah Lang picks it back up. It's blocked off by Kusunu, and now it's Kamada to try and see if he can stretch his wings and get it away for us here. Kamada, he looks up and he finds Merlin. He does not find Merlin, gives it away now, and all of a sudden PSV have stepped up their game here. Noah Lang tries to bring this one forward. Obando gets past my centre-back, lines up a strike from distance. Henderson makes a bit of a meal of that one, but it goes out for a corner. corner. It's a corner here that Bakayoko's going to take. He's going to take it short and he finds Noah Lang. Lovely little flick away, but doesn't manage to get past Conor Gallagher. Instead, he manages to drive past two of them, and look at him go. He's been instrumental in the heart of my midfield so far this season. Absolute revelation as Maciej Franca on as a substitute in place of Dominic Solanke, drives to the edge of the box, looks in to the back post for Merlin, who's just beaten to it by the defender. Danzo to bring it away down this right-hand side. Pacho comes across. This game really starting to get stretched as Bakayoko just knocks it past him. Really good stuff from the young man into Veerman. Veerman gets onto the ball, but we've gone and given away another penalty. Mark Gay came on for the man who gave away the first one in Anderson, and he's gone and done the same thing here with 5 minutes on the pitch. Look at him, he comes across. That is a shocking challenge, and in arguably what is going to be his last game in a Crystal Palace shirt, he's committed the cardinal sin of giving away a penalty in the Europa League final. It's the second time here that Noah Lang is going to step up here to try and see if he can find his mark. I'm going to go the same way, but this time he changes his mind. He sends me the wrong way, and PSV, with 75 minutes on the clock here, have taken an undeserved 1-0 lead, it must be said. A brilliant penalty, completely gave me the eyes. Henderson had no chance whatsoever. PSV lead 1-0. So it's Decore now, out to Merlin on the left-hand side. The left-back is going to try and see if he can drive forward here, but instead his run is just cut off, and he has to go central instead. Finds Conor Gallagher. Gallagher's going to look out to the right-hand side to find Arnau Martinez. Takes it on his right, floats it back in, looking for Raksaki at the back post. Yet again, a titanic defensive display so far from PSV. Every single ball I've floated into the box, they've got the better of me for. But Raksaki now has the chance to try and see if he can deliver another one. It's Conor Gallagher in the box. Yet again, they head it clear, and we just can't find a way through. So it's Noah Lang now into Klassen. Has he got the beating of Kazunu? It looks like he has. Kazunu tracking him all the way, but he plays it back into Noah Lang. Arnau Martinez is out of position. Mark Gay comes across. Good challenge this time around, though. Makes amends for his earlier mistake. We'll bring it out of defence. We are deep into stoppage time here. Plays the ball forward, gives it away in what has been a real sorry performance from the young man as he passes it forward, and the referee blows for full time. We'll look at the celebrations from the PSV players. They can begin, because at full time here, it is going to finish PSV 1, Crystal Palace 0. It's utter heartbreak for the Palace players, who do not deserve that scoreline one bit. We absolutely dominated the game, but at the highest level, if you do not take your chances, you will be punished. As we look on to the opposition, PSV lift the Europa League trophy as the Crystal Palace fans and players will go back to London empty-handed. And there it is, confirmation of our defeat in the final, and it brings a really disappointing end to what has been a season that we've come so close in. But that is going to be that for the end of today's episode. Hopefully you will join me next time for the start of Season 4, in the hope that we can finally achieve success on the biggest stage with Crystal Palace Football Club. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you again next time.